Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Coach Robert Gray with Victory Performance, and we're going to go over our Wednesday, March 25th at home workout here for our first full week of our COVID-19 home workout program. So we'll start out with a dynamic warm-up. You'll see that linked to our, before we get started here, before you do the dynamic, again, you'll also see our tissue prep or self-myofascial release video linked. You guys should be getting in the habit of doing that before you do the written warm-up. You can follow along exactly what's in that video, or you can kind of make it your own. Just trying to stick to that 20 to 30 second duration for each body part or each limb. After you complete the self-myofascial release, then you can go into the dynamic warm-up. Again, that'll be linked in the video description on YouTube, or you'll find it in our warm-up series on Instagram. And then after you complete the dynamic warm-up, you're going to go into our ISO series, which you'll also find on linked on YouTube or in our warm-up series on Instagram, again in the IGTV section. So after you complete those two series, we're going to go into our jumps, core, and balance section, as it has been for the past few training days. We're going to perform this as a superset. So we'll do one set of hide-ins, one set of box bear crawls, and then one set of single leg RDL airplanes. Okay, for the hide-in, we have 6 per leg. For the box bear crawl, we have 1 per side. But that'll consist of 5 steps in each direction, so it'll take a while, and then 8 per side on the single leg RDL airplane. Just like our core and balance section yesterday, we're going to keep our rest time minimal here. We're not trying to push our heart rate or our breathing in any way, but we don't want to take too much time between exercises. We're just going to keep going in a circuit fashion until we complete 3 sets of these 3 exercises. Once you complete that, then we're on to our strength portion, where we'll be going into unilateral deadlifts and yoga push-ups. So if you did Wednesday's training last week, then this is just a repeat of that, few more, or I think 1 more set each, and then the reps I think went up 1 on the deadlift. So same exercise selection, slightly different sets and rep format here. So you'll be doing 9 reps on each side for that unilateral deadlift, remembering that a deadlift is based off of a hinge pattern, right? So we want to get those hips back, finding our hamstrings primarily, as well as our glutes. And then we're going into yoga push-ups. As always with our push-ups, you need to find an appropriate height so that you can complete whatever your set's going to be, whether it's 10 or 15. And still feel like you have a couple reps left in the tank. We don't want these to be maximal sets where we're grinding out reps. That's not the point of these. We're trying to build long-term function, long-term health, just like with any other exercise. But for whatever reason, push-ups tend to be that one where we really want to push or try to grind out some really tough reps. Let's just stay true to our body positioning, our tension, our belly breathing, and we'll let our strength develop over time. For those, as far as a resting period, you'll do your unilateral deadlifts, you'll do your yoga push-up, and after you complete those 2 with, again, minimal rest between them, 30 to 45 seconds, then you're going to take a full 2-minute break, enough time for you to roll out, maybe a 1-minute break. Somewhere in that 1 to 2 minute range, depending on how much weight you have for your deadlift and how fatiguing those sets are getting for you. But during that break, you should be rolling out or doing some type of what we call a filler movement, something that kind of looks at your joint health or your tissue quality, right? And we're just trying to improve it in those little down times during our training session. And an easy thing to put in there is just foam rolling some body part that needs a little extra love. And then our conditioning is going to require you to get outside, find a hill. If you don't have a hill, don't worry. frankly, if you live in Folsom and you can't find a hill, I don't think you're looking hard enough. But if you don't want to run on a hill, then you can go find some flat ground to run on. And you're just going to either step out 30 big steps for your sprints, or if you're going to be at like a someplace where you already have 30 yards blocked out, like a football field, then you'll kind of already know what your distance is there. But we're going to be doing 4 30-yard sprints, then into 3 15-yard shuffles per side. So you go 15 yards on your left side, flip, and go right into the other side, taking up 30 yards of distance there. Okay. After you complete your 3 sets there, then you have 4 sets of a 15-yard back pedal. Okay. And then after you complete the 4 sets of the 15-yard back pedal, then we have 2 more sets of a 30-yard sprint. So your rest time for each of these is just the time it takes you to walk back to the start. Okay. So for your back pedals, the goal there is to really cover as much ground as possible with, as much ground as possible while feeling comfortable, being safe, right? Having an eye on coordination and not getting out of control. But within that, we want to be covering as much ground as we can, and really feel our quads and our legs really pushing the ground away in that back pedal fashion, getting some intensity as we get a little more comfortable with it. Okay, so again, your rest time on these is just the time it takes you to walk back. Once you get back there, take a breath, get set, and get going on the next rep. So this workout can be done all at once, right? Or if you guys would like to, you're welcome to break it up. If you're gonna break it up and do the conditioning either like on its own, either before the rest of the workout or after the rest of the workout, I would advise you to do this dynamic warm up a second time, just to make sure that your body is ready to go. And actually, if you're gonna break it up, you can just do the dynamic warm up here before your conditioning, and then the ISO series before the jumps, core, balance, and the strength portion. Again, if you're gonna do it all together, then you can just run straight through. All right, guys, so coming up, you'll see some videos and some demonstrations of each exercise.
Okay, guys, so you just completed the dynamic warm-up and our ISO series. Now we're ready to go into our jump, core, and balance section. So we have 3 exercises. Our first exercise is going to be a hide-in, okay? So a hide-in is a lateral jump, okay? So we're going to take off on one leg, but we're going to land on 2 for this variation. So want to make sure we have a good amount of distance here that we can jump for, okay? But I'm going to start on my left leg, jumping to my right, okay, and I'm going to land on both feet. Okay, stick the landing and reset. Okay, so you guys have the option of doing all 6 on one side and then all 6 on the other, or going back and forth like I did. Really just going to depend on what options you have based off of where you're training, right? Okay, so after we complete our hide-ins, we'll go into our box bear crawl. So for this, you're gonna need about a 8x8 section of just clear space on the floor. And basically we're gonna do a bear crawl, taking 6 steps forward, then we'll take 6 steps to our right, 6 steps in reverse, and then 6 steps to our left, okay? A couple really important things that you guys have here when you're executing the bear crawl. Number 1, belly breathe, right? Bracing and breathing is always going to be our top priority. But then from there, we want to keep our knees low to the ground, okay, in our setup. And then as we're walking, we're going opposite hand, opposite foot, okay? So that's as we go forward, okay, 5, 6. It's the same thing as we go lateral, 1, 2, 3, right? And then in reverse, same deal. Okay, really just trying to ensure that you're feeling it in your abs, you're being very deliberate, and we're getting that good cross body patterning there, right? Left leg, right arm, and vice versa. Okay, and then our final exercise for our jump, core, and balance section is our single leg RDL airplane. So if you've been following along, the RDL is something we're doing pretty much every day, okay? Different variations of it. So this is just a hip stability variation. We're really gonna isolate that, your control as you go internally and externally rotate on the leg that's on the ground. So as with all of our single leg drills, we're gonna shift our weight over onto one foot. So my nose is in line with my, the middle of my foot here. I'm gonna hinge down. Okay, so my chest is over my toes. My arms are out, and then from here, leading at my hips, I'm gonna open up. Okay, just as much as I can control. And then I'm gonna close, going just past level or even. Okay, so I get a bit of internal rotation as well. Okay, that's 1 rep. I'm going for 8 on each leg. Okay, the biggest thing there is that you guys adjust the range of motion at your hips so that we're not having these big losses of control, right? We don't want to do 8 reps and have to reset 6 times, right? Find your stance, find your range of motion that you control, and own that range of motion across your 3 sets of 8. Once you complete the jump, core, and balance, we're moving on to our strength section for the day. So we have 2 exercises, doing them in a superset fashion. We have unilateral deadlift, okay, which we'll be using our kettlebell with here. You can use a dumbbell, you could use a full carton of milk, anything that we can hold on to in one hand. And then we're gonna superset that with yoga push-ups. So, starting with our deadlift, those of you that train with us at Victory Performance know that a deadlift at its core is a hinge, right? So what we mean by that is our hips are gonna go back to initiate it, our chest is gonna come forward, and we're really looking for our hamstrings and the back side of our legs, okay? So that's at its core is what this movement is. It's a hinge first, okay? And we're just making that important distinction from a squat, right? We're not squatting, we're not gonna be bending our knees primarily here, keeping our chest up. We're much more, again, in this hinge. Okay, so I'm gonna do 9 deadlifts with the kettlebell in my left hand, 9 in my right hand. So, a couple reps here. I'm gonna start with my brace, hips back. Once you complete 9, we'll switch sides. Okay, and as I'm executing this, my goal is to stay unaffected by the weight, right? So I'm resisting the rotation that the weight is trying to pull me into, right? If I were to give in, the weight would probably pull me off center a bit, right? My job is to fight that, own my position, starting with my brace and completing my set of 9 on each side. Once you complete 9 reps on each side for your deadlift, then you're going into yoga push-ups. Okay, remembering yoga push-ups, or really push-ups in general, we think about these as a core exercise first. So every rep that we do, it's imperative that we find our tensioning there and our awareness there before going into the next rep. So here's a handful of reps of our yoga push-up. Start in our great plank position, abs on, glutes on, quads on. Back to that plank, find the abs, glutes, quads before going into your next rep. Okay, and you have anywhere between 10 to 15 reps of those. You're gonna find the appropriate reps for you based off of the height that you're able to choose, right, and your options that you have for your push-ups around your house or wherever you're training. Okay, after you complete the strength section, you can go right into our conditioning. Our conditioning for the day consists of the hill sprints that we covered earlier in the video, the sprints, the hill shuffles, the hill back pedal, and then finishing with more sprints. Okay, feel free to split today's training session up into 2 different workouts if you'd like to. Otherwise, you can do it all as one like we would in a normal training session. All right, guys, good luck.